In this story, the clash between quiet perseverance and the cost of social prejudice is revealed through a wedding gift so humble yet profoundly moving that it transforms hearts. Subscribe now for more inspiring tales that capture the spirit of resilience and hope. On a brisk autumn afternoon, as golden leaves spiraled gently to the ground, invitations to the long-awaited wedding of Marcus and Evelyn began arriving at every doorstep. The parchment was creamy and embossed with elegant calligraphy, sealed by a wax emblem that spoke of old-world charm and a deep respect for tradition. The ceremony was set to take place at an ancient countryside manor, a stately relic whose walls had witnessed centuries of celebration and sorrow, love and loss. For Marcus, a kind and soft-spoken man of humble means, and for Evelyn, raised in an environment of refined privilege, the wedding promised more than just the union of two souls. It was a bridge between two worlds that had long existed in parallel, separated by differences in class, values, and history. Marcus's family, though modest in wealth, was rich in love and tradition. Evenings were spent gathered around a worn oak table, sharing stories of perseverance and heartfelt memories passed down from generation to generation. Their simple life was imbued with dignity, a quiet strength that came from laboring honestly and cherishing every small victory. Across town, Evelyn's family lived in a sphere of polished manners and grandeur. Lavish dinners, sparkling chandeliers, and meticulously curated portraits of ancestors spoke of a heritage that prized elegance and exclusivity. Yet amid this opulence stood Evelyn's father, Charles, an elderly gentleman whose life story was etched in the lines on his face and the wisdom in his eyes. Despite the stark differences in lifestyle, Charles had earned respect for his unwavering integrity and the quiet dignity that came from years of honest struggle. But beneath the excitement of the forthcoming celebration lay a brewing storm. Rumors whispered through the corridors of the manor, rumors that the groom's parents, William and Margaret, renowned in their elite circles for their acerbic wit and haughty pride, looked down upon the bride's humble lineage. They scoffed at the very idea that a family with modest roots could produce the refined qualities that their own bloodline seemed to guarantee. As the invitations made their rounds, staff and close family friends exchanged knowing glances. Everyone sensed that the day would bring not only joy and union, but also the unmasking of old prejudices and buried resentments. For Marcus and Evelyn, the invitation was both a beacon of hope and a harbinger of impending discord. Their love, forged against the odds and nurtured in secrecy at times, now faced the daunting prospect of uniting families divided by generations of differing values. With every carefully chosen word on the invitation, the stage was set for a dramatic unfolding of events, a day when smiles might mask bitter glances, and where every gesture could speak louder than any vow. As dusk fell that day, each family prepared in their own way, unaware that the wedding would soon challenge not only their perceptions of worth, but also the very essence of what it meant to honor one's legacy. In the weeks leading up to the wedding, the differences between the two families became ever more pronounced. Marcus's humble household was alive with warmth and a sense of purpose. In a small, sunlit kitchen, his parents prepared simple meals with love and care, recounting tales of struggle and triumph over adversity. Every corner of their modest home resonated with the laughter of children and the quiet pride of a lineage built on hard work and perseverance. Their way of life was measured not by material wealth, but by the integrity that came from honest labor and mutual respect, a legacy that Marcus carried in his gentle eyes and humble demeanor. Across the city, Evelyn's family thrived in an atmosphere of luxury and ritual. Their sprawling mansion was adorned with priceless art and antique furniture, and every dinner was an elaborate affair attended by society's elite. In this world of opulence, every gesture was a statement, every word weighed against a backdrop of tradition and superiority. Evelyn, graceful and poised, had learned early that refinement was as much about etiquette as it was about an unspoken code of conduct. Her father, Charles, although an outsider in many ways to this glittering lifestyle, had earned his place through a lifetime of honest work and quiet sacrifice. He carried the scars of hardship with a dignity that set him apart, a man who had never compromised his values even as he became entwined in a world that prized wealth over character. As the wedding day neared, the inevitable collision of these two worlds grew more pronounced. The groom's parents, William and Margaret, were not subtle in their disdain. In hushed conversations at society gatherings, they disparaged the idea that a family with modest means could ever fully grasp the intricacies of high culture. Their mockery, veiled in sarcastic compliments, targeted not only Marcus's background but also the very essence of Charles's unpretentious ways. Each remark was a carefully calculated slight, a reminder that, in their eyes, true worth was measured in social standing and lineage, not in the quiet nobility of hard-fought life experiences. Marcus and Evelyn found themselves caught in the midst of this rising storm. Their love, though pure and resolute, was shadowed by the bitter weight of expectations and prejudices that neither had chosen. In private moments, as they strolled the manicured gardens of the manor or whispered promises in the silent corridors, they resolved that their union must be a triumph over the forces that sought to divide them. They dreamt of a future where love would heal old wounds, where the chasms of class would be bridged by mutual respect and understanding. Yet, as the day of reckoning drew near, both wondered whether the legacy of contempt and condescension could ever be truly vanquished by the tender hope of a new beginning. The manor buzzed with energy in the days preceding the wedding. In every hall and corridor, workers and planners moved with determined precision as they transformed the centuries-old building into a stage for celebration. Fresh bouquets of roses and lilies were arranged with care, shimmering linens were laid across long banquet tables, and every detail, from the vintage candelabras to the delicate lace draping, was chosen to evoke a timeless elegance. Amid the orchestrated chaos, the undercurrent of tension between the two families became palpable. Charles, the dignified father of the bride, spent long hours in his private study. Surrounded by faded photographs, yellowed letters, and cherished mementos, he allowed his mind to wander back through decades of hardship and quiet victories. Each artifact in his collection told a story of labor under the open sky, of sacrifice made in the name of honor, and of battles fought against a world that often valued superficial glitter over genuine worth. In those silent moments, Charles contemplated not only the imminent celebration but also the opportunity to set an example, a chance to demonstrate that true strength lay in character, not in wealth. In another wing of the manor, Marcus's family prepared in their own modest way. They patched up old garments, polished heirloom silver, and rehearsed heartfelt toasts that celebrated love in its purest form. Yet, even as they worked with earnest joy, there was a noticeable anxiety, a quiet awareness that the groom's parents had not concealed their disdain. William and Margaret, ever the purveyors of a refined image, had made it clear that they viewed the bride's humble origins as an unfortunate blemish. Their subtle sneers and half-spoken jibes were woven into the fabric of every conversation, a reminder that beneath the veneer of celebration lay a struggle for dignity. As the final touches were applied to the grand ballroom, a cavernous space bathed in the soft glow of antique chandeliers, the stage was set for more than just a wedding. It was becoming a battleground where the values of love, respect, and legacy would be tested against entrenched prejudice and condescension. Every carefully arranged flower and every whispered word carried the weight of generations. In the midst of it all, Marcus and Evelyn clung to each other, determined that their union would be a beacon of hope, even if the world around them remained stubbornly divided by old resentments. On the eve of the wedding, the manor's gardens became a quiet haven for secrets and whispered judgments. Beneath the ancient boughs of towering oaks, William and Margaret convened in a secluded alcove, their voices hushed yet edged with venom. They recalled a recent encounter with Charles, a brief conversation that, in their eyes, had been riddled with archaic ideas and misplaced sentimentality. "He speaks as if the past is a treasure to be hoarded," William sneered, his tone laced with derision. Margaret's eyes glittered as she added, "Our world is one of progress and refinement. His antiquated notions are nothing but a relic of a time best left behind." Their words, though soft, carried the full weight of centuries of social superiority. To them, Charles's gentle manner and simple outlook were evidence of a man who could never belong in their exalted circles. Every carefully calculated barb was designed to reinforce the chasm between the refined and the rustic, between the cultivated and the common. Yet, as they traded these quiet barbs, far from their ears, Charles strolled through the garden with a calm determination that belied the storm raging within him. Each step on the dew-kissed grass reminded Charles of a life hard-lived, a life marked by toil, loss, and hard-won victories. He recalled the long nights spent working by candlelight, the sacrifices made for the sake of his daughter's future, and the dignity that had sustained him when the world scoffed at his simplicity. In the rustling of the leaves and the soft murmur of the wind, he found solace and strength. Unbeknownst to the mocking pair, Charles had long been preparing a gesture that would challenge their shallow arrogance, a gift carefully curated over months that embodied every lesson learned from hardship and every moment of quiet pride. That evening, as twilight descended over the manor, a secret began to take shape. Among discreet conversations shared with close family friends, murmurs spread of a remarkable present, a time capsule that Charles had painstakingly assembled. This gift was not meant merely to honor his daughter. It was designed as a quiet revolution against the condescension that had shadowed the days of preparation. In that garden, where the seeds of contempt had been sown by a couple too blinded by pride to see the beauty of a life well lived, Charles's resolve grew ever firmer. He would soon reveal that the true measure of worth lay not in wealth or social rank, but in the enduring spirit of love and sacrifice. In the quiet corners of the manor, away from the prying eyes and whispered judgments, Marcus and Evelyn found solace in one another's presence. Their private conversations, held in the soft glow of candlelight and the quiet murmur of ancient corridors, were filled with both hope and trepidation. Marcus's gentle voice broke the silence one evening as they walked side by side in the manor's secluded garden. "I never imagined our wedding would be overshadowed by such bitterness," he confessed, his eyes reflecting both love and concern. Evelyn squeezed his hand and replied, "Our love is pure and true, but it pains me to see old wounds reopened and to feel the weight of judgment from those who do not understand us." Their words, tender yet laced with sorrow, underscored the harsh reality. Their union was not simply a merging of two hearts, but a collision of legacies and deeply ingrained values. Both felt the pressure of expectations that extended far beyond their personal desires. Marcus, raised in a home where every hardship was met with quiet resilience, struggled with the idea that his modest background might forever be seen as a flaw by those who placed wealth above all else. Evelyn, groomed in the lap of luxury yet possessing a compassionate soul, found herself torn between familial duty and her own convictions. Every shared smile and every whispered promise was laced with the determination to overcome the divisive forces at play. The looming wedding day had become a battleground where love fought against centuries of prejudice. In the sanctuary of their private moments, they discussed dreams of a future where their families could one day reconcile and understand that true legacy was built not on riches, but on the heart's capacity to love and forgive. They clung to the hope that their union might serve as a catalyst for change, a small but bright flame in the darkness of old resentments. Their tender resolve was a silent protest against a world that measured worth by appearance and pedigree. In that hidden garden, with only the stars as their witnesses, Marcus and Evelyn vowed to face whatever came their way together, their hearts united in the belief that love would ultimately triumph over scorn. In the days before the ceremony, Charles retreated into a realm of quiet reflection. In a small, book-lined study within the manor, he pored over old letters, faded photographs, and treasured mementos that chronicled a lifetime of struggle and perseverance. Each item was a chapter in his story, a story of long hours in the fields, of nights spent under the dim glow of a single lamp, and of sacrifices made to secure a better future for his loved ones. His weathered hands traced the outlines of memories, and his eyes shone with both regret for lost opportunities and pride for the resilience that had seen him through hardship. As he reflected on the many challenges of his life, Charles conceived a plan to present a wedding gift that would be much more than a mere token. Over the course of many months, he had quietly assembled a time capsule, a collection of relics and handwritten letters that told the tale of his life's journey. Each object was carefully chosen for its symbolic resonance. A leather-bound journal filled with intimate reflections, a set of antique keys that had once opened doors to long-forgotten dreams, and personal letters written during the darkest hours of his struggles. For Charles, this gift was an offering of legacy, a reminder that true wealth was measured in the lessons learned through adversity rather than in glittering trinkets or lavish displays. Though he sensed the impending mockery from William and Margaret, Charles remained undeterred. In quiet conversations with a few trusted family friends, he hinted at the significance of his gift, a gesture meant to honor his daughter and to challenge those who equated worth with superficial wealth. With each passing day, his resolve grew stronger. He believed that when the time came, the unassuming package he carried would speak volumes about the power of integrity and the enduring strength of a life lived with dignity. Even as the manor buzzed with frantic preparations for the wedding, Charles maintained a calm composure, a silent testament to the belief that true character outshines even the most biting of criticisms. As the sun dipped below the horizon on the eve of the wedding, the manor's grand halls took on an air of solemn expectation. Guests milled about in richly appointed rooms, exchanging pleasantries that barely concealed the underlying tension. The festive decorations and soft strains of music could not entirely dispel the chill of unspoken resentments. In the midst of the revelry, William and Margaret moved with practiced grace, their eyes darting about as they whispered subtle barbs to acquaintances. Their expressions, cool and disdainful, betrayed a confidence that bordered on arrogance, a confidence rooted in years of believing themselves superior. Elsewhere, Charles moved quietly among his longtime friends and distant relatives. His demeanor was one of serene determination. In hushed conversations in the shadowed corridors, he spoke not of the impending festivities, but of values that had guided him through life: honesty, hard work, and above all, humility. Among the murmurs and cautious glances, rumors began to circulate about the mysterious wedding gift he had prepared. Some whispered that it was to be a symbol of reconciliation. Others speculated that it was a silent challenge to the pretense and superiority embodied by the groom's parents. For Marcus and Evelyn, the eve was a cocktail of bittersweet emotions. In private moments away from the glare of disapproving eyes, they exchanged words of reassurance. "No matter what happens tomorrow, we stand together," Marcus whispered as they sat on a stone bench in a secluded corner of the garden. Evelyn's reply was gentle but firm. "Our love is our strength, and it will shine through even the darkest shadows of doubt." Their whispered promises and shared smiles were small beacons of hope amid the turmoil that had already marred the celebration. As midnight approached, the manor's corridors grew quiet and the last of the guests retired to their rooms. In that suspended moment, the tension was almost tangible, a promise of the dramatic events that the next day would unveil. The seeds of contempt had been sown, but so too had the seeds of potential transformation. With hearts heavy yet determined, everyone prepared for the dawn, unaware that the coming day would redefine the legacy of old resentments and pave the way for a new understanding of true worth. The morning of the wedding arrived bathed in soft light and the gentle hues of a new day. The grand ballroom of the manor, resplendent with elaborate floral arrangements and glimmering chandeliers, filled steadily with guests dressed in their finest attire. The atmosphere was charged with a mix of anticipation, celebration, and the quiet tension of unresolved conflict. As the guests took their seats, conversations shifted from polite greetings to the murmurs of admiration for the exquisite decorations, a stark contrast to the undercurrent of whispered disdain from those who clung to outdated prejudices. Evelyn made her entrance with an ethereal grace. Her gown, a cascade of delicate lace and soft silk, seemed to float as she walked down the aisle. Her eyes, warm and resolute, never faltered even as they met the cool stares of a few skeptical onlookers. At the altar, Marcus stood with a mixture of pride and apprehension. His gentle smile belied the storm of doubts and uncertainties that roiled within him. Today was not merely the culmination of their love. It was a defining moment that would test the strength of their union against forces determined to tear them apart. The officiant, a kindly elder known for his wisdom and gentle humor, began the ceremony with words that celebrated the unifying power of love and the importance of embracing differences. His voice, resonant and full of empathy, set the tone for the proceedings. As the couple exchanged heartfelt vows, each word was imbued with the hope that this union would not only bridge two disparate worlds, but also heal old wounds. In the midst of the celebration, every nod of approval and every tear shed carried a quiet promise of change. Yet, as the ceremony unfolded, subtle glances from the groom's parents spoke volumes. Seated in a place of honor, William and Margaret exchanged sidelong looks that dripped with condescension and barely concealed disdain. Their eyes, however, could not help but wander occasionally toward the reserved figure of Charles, standing off to one side with a quiet dignity that spoke of secret plans and unyielding pride. Throughout the ceremony, as the vows resonated and rings were exchanged, an undercurrent of transformation began to take shape. In that sacred space, with love as the guiding light, the divisions of class and history seemed to blur, if only for a moment. It was as if the very air had shifted, a quiet promise that soon, the true measure of worth would be revealed not by opulent displays, but by the humble acts that echoed from a lifetime of sacrifice. After the couple had sealed their vows with a tender kiss, the grand ballroom held its collective breath as the moment arrived for the presentation of gifts. Traditionally, tokens of affection were exchanged as symbols of goodwill, but today all eyes turned toward Charles. With a calm dignity that had been his hallmark throughout the day, he was escorted to the front of the room. In his hands lay a modestly wrapped package, its simplicity a stark contrast to the extravagant gifts typically displayed by the bride's family. The room fell silent as Charles began to speak. His voice, steady and imbued with the weight of decades, recounted the trials and triumphs of a lifetime defined by perseverance and humility. He spoke of long days spent under the scorching sun, of nights illuminated by the faint glow of hope, and of the sacrifices made for love and honor. With each word, the room seemed to quiet further, as if the very spirit of his memories had touched the hearts of all present. In his narrative, the true essence of wealth was revealed, not in coins or jewels, but in the resilience of the human spirit. Slowly, with deliberate care, Charles untied the delicate ribbon that bound the package. One by one, he unveiled the contents. A leather-bound journal etched with the scars and triumphs of his journey. A set of antique keys, each symbolizing doors opened by perseverance. And a collection of handwritten letters that recounted moments of despair transformed into quiet victory. Each artifact was a chapter of a life lived with unyielding dignity and love, a legacy that spoke louder than any material opulence. Even the haughty expressions of William and Margaret softened, their carefully maintained masks of superiority giving way to a look of introspection. In that transformative moment, the wedding evolved from a mere celebration of union into a powerful testament to the enduring strength of character and the true meaning of legacy. The silence that followed was not empty, but filled with the resonant acknowledgement that the true treasures in life are those that can never be bought or measured by gold. Following his stirring words, Charles stepped back as the full significance of his gift began to unfold before the eyes of the assembled guests. Carefully, as if unwrapping not just an object but the very essence of his life, he allowed his aide to display each item in turn. First came the well-worn leather journal, its pages dense with stories of hardship, love, and redemption. Next, the antique keys were revealed, symbols of doors that had once opened the path to a future built on sweat and sacrifice. Finally, a series of letters was presented, each penned during the darkest nights and the brightest dawns of his journey. Gasps of admiration and quiet weeping rippled through the room. The time capsule, unassuming in appearance, carried with it the weight of a lifetime's worth of lessons. Every artifact resonated with a sincerity that challenged the shallow judgments that had marred the day. Even those who had been most vocal in their contempt now found themselves moved by the silent testament to resilience and love. Charles explained that this collection was not merely a gift for the newlyweds, but a legacy, a reminder that the true measure of a person's worth lay in the values cultivated through adversity and triumph. As the final letter was read, the atmosphere in the ballroom shifted. What had once been a day overshadowed by old resentments was transforming into an occasion of introspection and unity. The silent power of Charles's gift had not only stunned the audience, but had begun to dismantle the walls built by prejudice. In that timeless moment, every heart present was called to reevaluate what it meant to truly value a life well lived. In the hours following the gift's unveiling, the manor's atmosphere was transformed. The grand ballroom, once filled with the hushed echoes of disdain and whispered insults, now resonated with introspective conversation and quiet admiration. Guests moved through the space with a newfound reverence, discussing the artifacts and the powerful story behind each one. In hushed clusters, people compared their own life experiences to the struggles and triumphs revealed by Charles's time capsule, and even the most skeptical relatives found themselves questioning the long-held notions of worth and privilege. Marcus and Evelyn, overwhelmed yet strengthened by the day's emotional revelations, retreated to a quiet alcove away from the formalities. There, under the soft glow of antique lamps, they shared their dreams for a future free from the chains of prejudice. "This day was never just about our union," Marcus murmured, "but about how we redefine what matters." Evelyn, her eyes glistening with tears of both joy and sorrow, agreed. Their whispered promises in that intimate moment symbolized not only their commitment to each other, but also their determination to heal the deep-seated divisions that had come to light. Even William and Margaret, whose earlier derision had seemed impenetrable, could not escape the impact of Charles's legacy. In private conversations away from the public eye, they admitted to feeling a stirring of regret, a realization that perhaps they had misjudged the true nature of worth. Their hardened hearts, so long shielded by superficial pride, began to soften under the quiet weight of genuine admiration. The transformation was subtle, yet irrevocable, as the lessons of humility and sacrifice made themselves known in every lingering glance and soft-spoken word. Throughout the manor, as the evening deepened into night, the legacy of the wedding gift echoed in every corner. The artifacts, once symbols of a solitary life, had now become a collective beacon of hope, reminding everyone present that the truest riches lie not in opulence, but in the enduring strength of the human spirit. In that reflective aftermath, old wounds began to mend, and a new understanding took root among the families. In the days and weeks that followed the wedding, the once bitter divisions between the families gradually began to dissolve. The manor, which had been the stage for both conflict and revelation, now witnessed small, hopeful interactions that signified a tentative reconciliation. Casual conversations replaced curt dismissals, and what began as forced smiles slowly transformed into genuine expressions of respect. Marcus and Evelyn became the quiet ambassadors of change, their love a living testament to the possibility of unity in a world divided by legacy and prejudice. Family gatherings that once carried the sting of scorn evolved into opportunities for shared reminiscences and mutual learning. At dinner tables and in cozy sitting rooms, elders recounted the story of the wedding gift, a narrative that had become a cherished legend, a reminder that true worth is measured in the depth of one's character rather than in the glitter of gold. Even the once aloof groom's parents, now reflecting on their own long-held assumptions, made small gestures of outreach. Their once haughty demeanor softened as they engaged in conversations about old hardships and the quiet triumphs of everyday life. Charles, whose resolute spirit had set the day's events into motion, became a respected figure not out of pity, but admiration. His gift had ignited a spark that bridged the gap between generations and social classes. In time, the family found that the legacy of that fateful day was not confined to a single moment, but continued to influence their lives, reminding them that every person carried within a treasure trove of experiences that, if shared, could heal even the deepest divides. As new dawns broke over the manor, laughter and sincere smiles replaced the bitterness of the past. The lessons of humility, sacrifice, and unconditional love became the bedrock upon which the families rebuilt their bonds. In their hearts, the memory of that transformative wedding day lived on, a timeless reminder that the truest measure of legacy is found in compassion, understanding, and the willingness to change. Years later, The story of that extraordinary wedding had become legend, a cherished narrative passed down from one generation to the next. The humble yet profound gift presented by Charles remained enshrined as a symbol of love's power to heal and transform. In quiet family gatherings, the time capsule was brought out and its contents revisited with reverence. The leather-bound journal, the antique keys, and the heartfelt letters served as tangible reminders of a time when prejudice was challenged and old wounds began to mend. Marcus and Evelyn, having built a life enriched by the lessons of that day, continued to foster an environment where every member of the family was encouraged to share their stories of struggle, hope, and quiet triumph. Their home became a sanctuary of open dialogue and sincere understanding, where the values of humility and sacrifice were celebrated above all else. The legacy of that day was not just a memory, but a living testament to the power of the human spirit to overcome even the deepest divides. Even William and Margaret, once so resolute in their disdain, came to regard Charles's gesture as a turning point in their lives. In moments of reflection, they admitted that the true measure of a man's worth could never be quantified by wealth or social status alone. With time, the wounds of the past healed, replaced by a newfound respect for the enduring strength found in every human heart. And so, as twilight settled over the manor each evening, the family would gather around the fireplace. They would share stories and dreams, and in those moments, the legacy of the wedding gift shone brightly, a beacon that transcended generations and taught them that love, respect, and compassion are the true treasures in life. The story of Groom's parents mocked the bride's elderly father, but his wedding gift left everyone stunned, endured not only as a tale of a single day, but as a perpetual reminder that even the quietest gesture can echo through time, forever transforming hearts and bridging divides. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment sharing your thoughts. Your support means the world and helps bring more heartfelt stories like this to life. See you in the next one.